Hey folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Get ready for the bitching. Today's episode are a pair of Savage Worlds products, both from Reality Blurs. We've got RunePunk and Iron Dynasty Way of the Ronin. I'll start with RunePunk here, but before I do this, I just need to say a few things. I had the honor of meeting the author of these books, Sean Preston, at Gen Con this year. And I got to be honest with you about something. He scares me a little bit. I don't know what it is. I'm a really big guy. I don't intimidate. But there's something about Sean that scared me a little bit. So I feel really guilty and a little afraid that it's taken me this long to get these reviews out. So, Sean, if I run into you again, please don't hurt me. So, RunePunk. What this is, it's a Savage Worlds setting. This is a dark steampunk fantasy game. This game is set in the ruins of a really big star-faring empire where pretty much everything has fallen apart except for one giant city, which is where your game is set. This brings in pieces of some science fiction, some fantasy, some horror, and a lot of steampunk all thrown in for good measure. Like most Savage Worlds books, this is broken down into a GM section and a player section. In the GM section, in the player section, what it does is it kind of gives you some of the basic background, what's going on, and the different races you can play. Now, the races you can play range from everything from your standard human to an Endari who looks like something out of Neil Gaiman meets the guy who meets Gory, the guy who does all the art for the mystery from PBS. Remember? For those of you who know what I'm talking about. Good on you. There are some rat people. There are different types of magic. A lot of the magic deals in with binding spirits and demons into your what you want them to do. There are some weapons. There are rune abilities that you can apply to your weapons to make them more powerful. From there, it goes into the GM section, which is, again, has what a lot of really good Savage Worlds books have, which is an adventure generator, because the entire point of Savage Worlds was you're busy, you don't have a lot of time, you got to do something. For the love of God, just get a game on the table. Has a great breakdown for those. It gives you a plot point campaign in the back. The neat thing about this is it's one giant dark city in which your characters can play, and just different levels of interaction. It kind of smacks and I don't mean to compare it to this, but it's just the only one I can think of Warhammer a little bit, where there was the big imperial city that was falling apart that you all marched around in. I've played a couple games of Warhammer, that's what we did. This is one really, really big city that you can interact with from one end to another, and it's pretty much all urbanized. Then we get into Iron Dynasty Way of the Ronin. Folks, I'll be honest with you. I have never been a big fan of kung fu movies. I've never been a big fan of Oriental action films. I've never been a big fan of the whole ninja theme, any of that stuff. And back when I was playing D&D back in the very long time ago, I played a few Oriental Adventures games. They didn't go really well. I'm still in therapy over a couple of them, and if you're involved in them and you're watching, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It involved a blue dragon. Anyway, so what this does, though, is after reading through this, after reading the background on the world, after reading sort of like something on the society, the different noble houses, the weapons, the different types of characters you can play, the different levels of martial arts that are obviously involved in this, I got to tell you, folks, I actually wanted to play in this world, which has never, ever happened for me in an Asian-inspired game. It's just never really been my cup of tea. This has firearms, in addition to what you would consider to be your standard Oriental Adventures weapons. I'm going all the way back to the original Oriental Adventures book in my brain as I'm talking about this, so bear with me, folks. And again, if you're old like me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It gives you a lot of new edges and hindrances that you can use for your character. It gives you some great examples of almost stock characters that you can just start with and go if you want to. The setting is very interestingly laid out, which is obviously inspired by but not taken directly from any particular culture or environment or type of movie, and kind of turns you loose. It gives you some campaign frameworks there at the back that you can kind of use if you want to. There isn't a plot point campaign embedded in this, but between all of the ideas it gives you along the way and the frameworks, and if you're at all familiar with the genre and you like Savage Worlds, you can pick this up and run with it. It is a really, really good game. And I'm not just saying this because Sean Preston scares me, but I'm saying this because like I said before, I've never really liked the foo genre. I really dig this game. In fact, I don't know that I could run it simply because I don't have the knowledge background that a lot of other people would to appropriately do this sort of game. I think you do have to have a good idea of a genre before you can effectively play it, which is why I have trouble with some genres. Like I'm absolute rubbish when it comes to science fiction. And I know a lot of sci-fi. I just can't run a sci-fi game to save my damn life. But this, I think if someone knows the genre well and wants a really good Savage Worlds powered Oriental Adventures book, this is the way to go for you. Both of these from Reality Blurs, which is a producer of Savage Worlds games. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Please don't hurt me, Sean. Good day and good gaming.